Hey, 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 good morning, good morning. It is time for Weightless in Mind, Body, and Spirit with your host, Dr. Carol Penn, doubly board certified in family medicine and obesity medicine, and your master movement meditation and mindset coach. I am so excited to be here with you this Sunday. This is a holiday Sunday. We're between the Christmas and the New Year's, and we are here on Kwanzaa. So we're going to drop some pearls about Kwanzaa today and about why it's important that we celebrate this holiday. And maybe for some of you, it'll be an introduction. For some of us, it'll be a reminder, but we're just going to go with the flow. And as always, I have some fabulous special guests and some surprises here this morning, so we can just kick off this week. As a matter of fact, during the week, I'm going to be talking about the principles of Kwanzaa and taking them into meditation. So I am super excited. But why is this show called Weightless in Mind, Body, and Spirit? Well, two reasons. Yes, I am board certified in obesity medicine. So that's fabulous and that's wonderful. And I look at treating obesity and overweight as a chronic illness, relapsing and remitting, and it impacts absolutely every single body system that we have, without a doubt. And it also impacts our psychological, emotional, and spiritual state. So really, what does it mean to be weightless? What does it mean on the physical plane? What does it mean on the psychological, the emotional, the spiritual plane? So we can talk about that endlessly. And that's what my superstar guests and I do. We talk about all of the above. But over this holiday time, we're having some special shows, kicked off with my birthday show. Yes, and I'm still celebrating my birthday. And it's going to continue right through our New Year's show next week. So let's see, who do we got? A couple of people watching this morning. I don't see anybody come on, y'all. You know, you need to drop it in the chat. Who's here so I could bring you on and I can welcome you. That's so important that we know who's watching and I welcome you. But without further ado, I'm just going to let you see my beautiful guests before I introduce them. And then our surprise is Mr. D.M. Jones, who's going to give us a little bit and going to frame the history of Kwanzaa for us. So let me go ahead and look who's here. Dr. Lakeisha. Check it out. Look who's here. Miss Victoria, both of these ladies have essentially become family members, but Miss Victoria Ajikapede, superstar occupational therapist, was instrumental in our lives. And so we are so just grateful that we have her. And of course, there he is, the man of the hour, my life partner, Mr. D.M. Jones, Mr. D.M. Jones. So, beloved, why don't you tell us a little bit about the history of Kwanzaa?
I'm thrilled to. Habari Gani.
Habari Gani.
Yes, Habari Gani, Dr. Lakeisha. And Habari Gani, Victoria. Kwanzaa is an African-American celebration of life from December 26th through January 1st. Dr. Maulana Karenga introduced the festival in 1966 to the United States as a ritual to welcome the first harvest to home. Dr. Karenga created the festival for Afro-Americans as a response to the commercialism of Christmas. Kwanzaa is not a religious holiday, but a cultural one with an inherent spiritual quality. Dr. Karenga writes, thus Africans of all faiths can and do celebrate Kwanzaa. I say again, Habari Gani, which means what's the news? The greetings during Kwanzaa are in Kiswahili, which is a dialect of Swahili. Kiswahili is a Pan-African language and chosen to reflect African Americans' commitment to the whole of Africa and African culture rather than to describe a specific ethnic or national group or culture. The greetings are to reinforce the awareness of and commitment to the 7 principles. It is again Habari Gani, which means, what's the news? The answer of each is each of the principles for each of the days of Kwanzaa. For example, yesterday was Umoja, the first day of Kwanzaa, and today is Kuji Chaga Kuji Chaga Gulia. That's the second day of Kwanzaa. So Kwanzaa has been with us since 1966, and I thank you all for bringing this discussion forward and sharing it with the world.
All right. Thank you, my darling. And we will see you on the other side.
I'll be listening. Thank you.
All right. Well, here we are. So, why Kwanzaa? Why am I bringing this forward? And one of the reasons why I was bringing it forward, given the context of what the world is going through right now, I think it's an idea or concept that needs to be revisited, certainly within the African American community, and then also within the community outside of the African American community. But we're going to get to that in a minute. So our first guest, you can see her there with her head. She's rocking her headsets. Dr. Lakeisha McMillan. She is board certified OB-GYN. I'm going to let her introduce herself to you, whatever she'd like to share with you all today. And then Victoria Ajikapede, our dear friend. We met her first when DM had major orthopedic surgery and needed to learn how to walk again. And our doorbell rang, and in walked this beautiful queen. So, who describes herself as working as an occupational therapist specializing in physical dysfunction with a focus in pediatrics, adults, and geriatrics for the past 13 years. Prior to OT, she graduated with a double major in biology and education. She's the mom to 3, a 28-year-old son, a 24-year-old daughter, and a 21-year-old son. So, she's in the thick of it in terms of raising strong young adults. There's so many aspects to parenting. And I myself, the mother, 2 boys biologically, and then child of my heart, my stepson. So the boys are 25 and 16, soon to be 26 and 17. Again, being raised in the midst of it's very challenging time, within and without the African American community. And Dr. Lakeisha, she the baby in the bunch because she got the younger children. So Dr. Lakeisha, come on in, tell us about your family, and welcome to Weightless in Mind, Body, and Spirit.
Thank you so much, Dr. Carol. Oh my goodness. I just am loving the spirit of this conversation, being in this virtual room with you ladies and with DM earlier. I'm Dr. Lakeisha. I'm an integrative gynecologist, hormone specialist. I'm a speaker, best-selling author. And I help women who are struggling with depleting hormones get their hormones balanced, regain mental sharpness, have energy to last the entire day, and remember just how beautiful and vital they are. And I do that through my concierge practice, my speaking circuit, and my best-selling book. You all are the big mamas, I call that, because you guys got the older kids. You guys have traversed where I am going. We have 2 wonderful human beings that have been gifted to us, and they are 9 and 13. So y'all pray my strength. And we are in the thick of that distance learning. And so we have taken on the role of homeschooling. We decided at the end of last school year, when we saw that the pandemic was going to be affecting our lives for an extended period of time and going into the school year, that we needed to address the way that our family would be able to traverse this new terrain. And part of it was the education of our children. And so we looked at the various programs. I actually had my girlfriend, my best friend, my roommate from college who called me up and was like, "Have you heard about this program?" And so we looked at it. We, showed it to the children. They had a YouTube like tutorial. And, you have to have them kind of buy into this, right? Because if it's going to work, everybody has to have a stake in it. And so I have been afforded the opportunity to be their teacher this school year. And I'm having conversations with them that I know I wouldn't be having any other way besides being in the space with them at this time. And so, it's interesting that I'm able to have this conversation with that. You opened this up and said, who wants to come and talk about Kwanzaa and open up this discussion on this day as we are in the second day of Kwanzaa. I started looking at Kwanzaa because we're trying to, as part of the educational process of our children, it's not just educating them with the pen and paper and books, but about life. And for us as African Americans, we have a unique situation being, born in this country and trying to discover our roots, trying to have some type of lineage connection. And part of that is, sometimes we have to create new traditions, and we have to establish new things that we call our own. And so I actually just started looking into Kwanzaa and trying to understand it more and trying to figure out, is this something that we're going to make a part of us? And I love the principles. I'm enjoying understanding what those principles mean and how you can fit it into your life, and how I can give this to our children as another anchor for them as they traverse this life.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. Victoria, before you come on, I want to welcome a couple of our guests to say hello. So good morning, Linda Parker Edwards, hashtag Meditation Nation. We recognize this name. We're so glad to see Linda has joined us this morning. And I bet Weldon is somewhere in the background, not too far away. And good morning and welcome, Dr. Dietrich. Yes, yes, yes. AP, hashtag Rowan University School of Osteopathic Medicine in the house. Dr. Dietrich and I went to medical school together. Good morning, Martha, hashtag we do remember Meditation Nation. Yes, good morning and welcome, Patricia. And yes, my beloved Habari Ghani. So, one of the things that I love about this is that as people wake up, people are, we're in holiday mood, might be sleeping a little bit later and what have you. They can watch it anytime and they can listen to this show as a podcast. Many people listen later in the day or later in the week, anytime, that they want to. So, Victoria, you have a different experience than Dr. Lakeisha and I do. Tell us a little bit about your background and, how you come to this.
Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Victoria, and I am so happy and glad to be here sharing this space on the last Sunday of 2020. Okay, 2020, goodbye. So, but they say what doesn't kill you will make you stronger. That's right. So for me, I'm originally West African. I share both cultures, being a Gambian, my mother being a full Gambian, 100%, and my father half Nigerian, half Gambian. So I grew up with the best of both worlds. For me, Kwanzaa, the way I see Kwanzaa, it should be the foundation. It shouldn't be just a week of celebration. It should be what we strive to live every day. It should be the foundation that we show up with, we speak to the world with on a daily basis. So for me, foundation should be part of who we are every day, not what we are. We should use the foundation to show the world, to teach the world, not just the people we love, but others. So Kwanzaa is just foundation on how we should live our lives on a daily basis.
Beautiful. Thank you for those comments. And so, people might be wondering what Kwanzaa is and what those principles are that DM referred to and what we're talking about. So I'm going to go over them and I'm actually going to spell them out. I'm going to ask my beloved to drop the names in the chat. So here we go. So Kwanzaa has 7 principles, each to be reflected upon each day. So it started yesterday, always starts the day after Christmas. And the first principle is Umoja, Umoja. And that means unity in the Kiswahili. And success starts with unity of family, unity of community, unity of nation, and unity of race. And this is, Dr. Lakeisha, what you were talking about, looking at, unity of your family. What are you bringing together now that you are gifted with being the principal, teacher, social worker, lunch lady, and everything all rolled into one, honey? I had one client who was saying, she said, I was just not cut out for this. I'm looking forward to going back to mom.
Right.
I need to go back to mom, playing all these 5 different things every day. It's not easy. It's not easy. And Patricia is saying, happy Kwanzaa and St. Stephen's Boxing Day to my friends in the UK. Again, that's another beautiful cultural tradition, Boxing Day in the United Kingdom and St. Stephen's Days. I hope whatever faith or spiritual holidays you celebrate, may they be blessed. And isn't that a beautiful message? I love, Victoria, when you were talking about, having the best of both worlds and, experiencing these multiplicity of cultures from the motherland. And then, of course, your experience here in the United States and, bringing forward the knowledge base that you bring forward. And I couldn't agree with Patricia more. My cultural half, genetically, all is from the United Kingdom. So, what is my genetic makeup? What is my background? And it is like so many African Americans, so many European Americans. It's, you have this, and isn't it beautiful when we can embrace that, when we can understand the roots of things, the history of things. So to me, it makes the world a much more interesting place.
Absolutely. And I believe, this year was one of those years where we needed more grounding, to be able to have those roots you talk about so eloquently when we do our meditation, to be able to ground us. And so this practice, and like Patricia says, any type of, I guess, religious holiday or, cultural tradition. I think about my husband, he's Bahamian, and, they do Junkanoo. So Junkanoo starts midnight Christmas and goes into the next day, Boxing Day. And you have the most beautiful costumes that they have been working on all year. And there's history behind that. And, not being able to go this year or, being able to go back and take the kids and give them some of those roots. This is another way to be able, like Victoria said, to be able to live, put something in our foundation to say, hey, this is how we're going to be, how we're going to show up in the world. This is how I'm going to be able to walk in my purpose, to figure out how I'm going to interact and be a contributing member to society by instilling in us certain principles that can, enhance our cultural awareness and backgrounds.
Beautiful, beautiful. Let's see. So there are all the 7 principles right there. So the next one is Kujichagulia, self-determination, to be responsible to ourselves, to create our own destiny. And again, when you think about it, first 2 principles, so we have unity and self-determination. As Victoria was saying, this can be who we are. We can cultivate these principles, they're really principles of character, principles of character. Then we have Ujima, collective work and responsibility to build and maintain our communities, to work together, to help one another. So important. We have to be our brother's keeper. This, again, this collective work and responsibility. Day 4 is Ujima, collective economics. Hello, to build, maintain, and support our own stores, establishments, and businesses. Day 5 is Nia, or purpose, to restore African American people to our traditional greatness, responsibility to our ancestors, and responsibilities to our descendants. Then we have Kuamba, which is creativity, use creativity and imagination to make our communities better. And then day 7 is, which will take place on January 1st, it's Imani, or faith, believing in our people, our families, and our leaders, our arts, and our struggles. So again, these are principles of life. These are, and I think at this time, so here's day 2, Kuji Jakalia, self-determination, to define and name ourselves, as well as to create and speak for ourselves. These are principles that anyone can live by. And I think, COVID-19 has brought up a lot of things. It's uncovered a lot of things. And I just think that the principles of Kwanzaa right now fit right in terms of being very, very timely for the globe. Again, another contribution from, the African American diaspora. And Dr. Karenga, what he put forward, and this, he started developing this and put this forward in 1966 after the Watts riots, which were so destructive. So Victoria, how do you feel about principle number 2? Today's the day of self-determination. I know this is something you have been really devoting yourself to all this year.
Yeah. Self-determination. You got to believe in yourself. You don't have to, you have to believe in yourself. I always say one thing: if I didn't go through my struggles, I wouldn't have found my strength. So yeah, that's the way I see it. You have to be determined you have to set your goals, and you have to be determined to fulfill your goals. And then looking at the principles of Kwanzaa, unity. You got to understand that you cannot do it by yourself. So you have to pull on the village. You have to pull on your circle of friends. You guys have to unite, right? If you go down the principles, it all helps with the self-determination. It all helps us to fulfill our life's goals. So self-determination, prove it to yourself. You owe it to yourself to prove it to you. You don't have to compete with anybody. You don't have to prove it to anybody. You owe yourself to prove it to you. And that's all that matters.
Absolutely. So, Dr. Lakeisha, how does self-determination, how does that show up in healthcare? How does that, the patient who comes to you with self-determination, or the client who comes to you with self-determination versus one who does not?
Oh, that's such a great question, Dr. Carol. The person that shows up with self-determination, we become a partner. Like, we sit down and we're able to have a partnership. I don't feel as if I'm just telling you, oh, this is what you need to do. And we do these little checklists and they're sitting there like, okay, but they buy in. We have a partnership as to the plan of action. So they have an understanding of what where I'm coming from. I'm contributing as a healthcare provider to their healthcare team as the physician, and we're having a collective moving forward. So the patient that shows up that is that has self-determination, I don't feel I have to convince them of anything. They are going to be that partner. So I'm sure that you see it too, especially in the world of obesity medicine. They have to come with this, okay, I'm ready. We're going to work with this together. I know that this is not a sprint. We're going to walk this marathon together. We're going to make sure, they have this inward spirit or burning within them that they are going to get to the other side. Like they're going to traverse whatever valley they're in, and we're going to do this together. So I find that the person that comes with self-determination, I enjoy those conversations with them. And even if they're hard conversations, even if there's something that we really have to dig through and work out through several different visits, those are such fulfilling visits for both. I get an exchange. It's not just me pouring in and dumping into them, but there is this exchange that happens with the patient that comes in with self-determination. They become an advocate for themselves. I don't necessarily have to pull and pull out of them what's going on and try and, okay, what else? No, there is this beautiful exchange that happens. And I tell them all the time, like, oh, this is going to be great. We're going to be this, it's going to be this wonderful partnership. And, I'm able to practice more. What I've learned is narrative medicine, where we become this partner, where I'm able to give you tools as we walk this journey together. Because a lot of times as physicians, and Victoria, I know as you as a provider, you are meeting someone usually at a very low point in their life. A lot of times they're on the basement or in the basement of their life. And so you are privileged to be there with them at that time. And if they have this self-determination, you see that little spark and you can pull on that, and we can walk this road together. Even though it's going to be rocky, it may not be as smooth and paved, but that's the way I see self-determination show up.
Oh,
Yeah,
ex-
piggybacking on what you have to say, this goes. I'll give you a perfect example. I have a patient right now. She's a C2 complete. Everybody told her, forget it. I walked in. She was literally, complete paralyzed from neck down. Nothing. Right now, she's actually moving her legs because that girl is determined. I mean, yes, I go in and I give it my all, but that girl has voluntary movements now in her toes. She's responding, her muscles are responding to the sensory integration technique that I'm using. And right now, her results are so great, she's going back to McGee. So that's the determination we're talking about. That girl never gave up hope. Her family never gave up hope. They were like, we're going to defy the odds. And that's all we need to see. And that's all I need to see when I walk into your house. If I see that determination, I'm all in. But if I don't say it, it's a case of, oh my God, I got to bring it out. But you got to show me you're determined, and that is what gives you results, not just the defeatist attitude. We have to understand that we're not victims, we're victorious.
That is awesome. That is so awesome. I tell patients all the time, we've now started a relationship here. Just like when you start relationships. Now, if there's something that happens that you don't like, don't go and break up with me and I don't know it. I said, let's come back and let's have a conversation and let's figure out what's going on. And I believe, and I see those with that self-determination, they're the ones that engage in these conversations. Because a lot of times I'm dealing with women that have hormonal, imbalances. And so it's a matter of really looking at all the different physiological entities that will play into that. And so we may work on this system this time around, and maybe it's now showing up and unmasking another system that needs to be worked on. And so it's uncovering other symptoms. And as long as they know that, we can continue to work together. And so that's why I say, look here, this is not a sprint. You didn't get here overnight. So I don't have a silver bullet. There's not the one-stop shop. There's not this little, oh, take this pill. There's no magic pill. This is a partnership. This is a relationship. And those that have the self-determination, like you, Victoria, like you said, and I'm so glad DM put this in the chat. If I didn't go through my struggles, I wouldn't have found my strength. Another way that it was said to me when I met my business coach, and I was at this point, oh my goodness, I was just like, boom, on the floor, on the basement. And I just told him my story. And the next thing he said to me was like, there's purpose in your pain. And understanding that and tapping into that self-determination. That's what these little quotes do. It taps into that principle. And if we learn that it is really a principle of life, then we have something to build on. We have a foundation that we can then put the scaffolding on and continue to build.
Well said. Now, tomorrow is Ujima, collective work and responsibility, to build and maintain our community together and make our brothers and sisters' problems our problems, and to solve them together. And I think with what we're facing in 2021, again, Ujima is so important, this idea of collective work and responsibility. And, one of the things I'm committed to is, just like we're having this discussion, is to introduce these 7 principles into medical circles, because medicine is trying to grapple with and begin to dismantle. First, they got to take the system apart. Continuing, COVID has started that, showing us that the emperor has no clothes, but to dismantle the implicit bias and racism that is a part of the medical system. Right now I'm sitting on a national committee that is looking at that in medicine. And I just want to I'm just holding in my heart the story of Dr. Susan Moore, a medical doctor who died last week and who is on record. She put it on record. She recorded herself that she feels that she experienced the implicit bias and racism of the medical system at the hands of the medical system while she's inpatient, suffering with COVID, and they knew she was a doctor. And this is how deep this goes in our society. These stories keep coming forward and they keep coming out. And, God bless her and God bless her family, that she literally used the last breaths in her body to say, this happens, this is happening in real time, now, today. And I've committed my life, to ending racism. This is one of my big missions in life, ending racism in my lifetime. And all doctors, black, white, yellow, red, pink, blue, polka dot, whatever you are, we need to understand these 7 principles and begin to employ them ourselves, because our job is to treat anybody that shows up in front of us. We have to examine the biases in our own minds, regardless, because if we have a patient in front of us, you have to treat that patient. And I also have a commitment to because unfortunately the optic is still important. Really, the root of it should be the human's consciousness. What is your consciousness as a human being toward other human beings? But right now, the optic is that, and the consciousness of humanity is such that we need more doctors who look like us to treat people who look like us, because we will show up and the trustworthiness is more so there. And there's good reason why there's not trustworthiness. So I'm just going to put it out there. So we'll be talking more about Ujima tomorrow and meditation in a time of madness. But what are your thoughts and feelings about, introducing these 7 principles as a part of what we need to look at as healthcare professionals?
I think it's a great idea. For me personally, this implicit bias, I've had other clinicians during a meeting say, my husband doesn't want me to go in there. Oh, I'm not allowed to go in there. So one of the reasons I just got tired of the way people of
Mhm.
color, minorities were being treated. You will see somebody who needs the services, they get cut after 4 weeks. But somebody who doesn't need the service has 8 weeks of therapy. So one of the reasons why I branched out into home care as well was to go into the inner city, the places people fear to go to. That's where I go. And I tell you this, my patients in the inner city or the hoods or the ghettos or whatever society wants to give it a name as, those are the people that I feel most at home with. Because, first of all, they're happy that you're listening to them. They're happy that you are actually helping them
Mhm.
out where everybody else has turned their backs on them. So for me, when I go into the exclusive neighborhoods, I've been called the N word. I have been called you name it. They don't, I still do my job because for me, when I'm faced with things like that, it is not what you call me, it's what I answer to. I'm here to do my job, and I'm not going to let that get in the way because if you don't want to treat me the way I treat you, that's on you. But I will still treat you the way I would want to be treated, regardless of all the nonsense going on. So, yes, one of the reasons why I'm in home care, especially, is because I go in where people don't want to go in because I believe people of color, minorities, have the right to be treated the way somebody else in another zip code is treated.
Beautiful, beautiful. So we got a couple of more guests to bring on. Well, people, just this good morning, grand rising to you, Kenneth. So Martha Hill, I want to interact with my own research and have my questions answered about my treatments. Beautiful, beautiful. Patricia, yes, please apply the 7 principles to medical treatment. You need to be a good patient advocate for yourself or a loved one who needs to be there for them. And I do believe that the boat floats way. You know, I want patients to understand this, and I want our professional colleagues to understand this. And I'm just seeing the relationship and how these 7 principles could be very helpful. In this way. National Urban League State of Black America, that, yes, a wonderful resource for people to check out and to know about, for sure, for sure. You know, it's interesting. So one of the things that, you know, and this is, you know, part of public health, and I know Victoria is going to be stepping into public health. So for instance, in the wonderful city of Chicago, where our oldest lives. And I'm so glad he was able to be here now to be with family. We have a 30-year gap in life expectancy between people who live in certain zip codes in Chicago and then people who live in the south side of Chicago. So there's certain zip codes in Chicago, the life expectancy is up to 90. Chicago's a wonderful city. It's a very clean city. Yet in the south side of Chicago, life expectancy, 59 years old. Now, how could that be? How did that happen? There are neighborhoods in Chicago that don't have a grocery store in them. So, I heard it this morning. One was saying they got this vaccination out here in less than a year, and yet I've been living in this neighborhood in Chicago for 50 years, and I don't have a grocery store I could go to. How did that happen? How does that happen? And how do we continually allow these things to happen, except for our nation, our great nation, has a horrible problem with this implicit bias, with this racism. Yes, good morning and welcome, Rebecca. She says she's a little late, but we love her anyway. So good morning and welcome, Linda Smith. And yes, Rebecca, that age expectancy difference is a tragedy, is an absolute tragedy. No question about it. And yet, anyway. Anywho, these are why I feel so, committed to devoting a great deal of my life, because, well, let's face it, the life I might be saving is my own. Because if I get sick and go into a hospital for whatever reason, I'm just like Dr. Susan Moore. It's not going to matter. I'm going to be a Black woman in the hospital. May or may they, and it's not going to matter. And again, what's so amazing, all the studies show it's not going to matter when they look at my bank account. It's not going to matter when they look at my education. It's not going to matter when they look at my degrees. I'm still, at the end of the day, going to be treated like, not quite a human being. I'm still going to be more vulnerable. I'm still going to be more at risk. And I'm sorry, that's not acceptable to me. One of the world's greatest athletes, Serena Williams, almost died in her childbirth experience. Certainly a person who knows her own body better than most people on the planet, but it didn't matter. Surely when she was in the hospital, surely they must have known she was the one and only Serena Williams. They must have known that. But yet they almost let that woman die.
Exactly. And, I don't have, of course, an extreme case as Dr. Susan Moore, but when I was actually in labor with our first child, um, anesthesiologist came in to give me my epidural. And I kept telling her, that hurts, or, and I knew, I was like, you're in the wrong space. You're in the wrong space, and she's just, no. And, you're just taking too much medication. And she was just trying to numb me up. And I was like, no, you're in the wrong space. And so she left the room to go get another kit. And I mean, I am now in tears, like I'm in tears. My husband's, I'm like, and when she came back in, my nurse was back in, and I guess she had finally read something in my chart and realized I was Dr. McMillan that used to work on labor and delivery. And she was like, why didn't you tell me who this was? I was like, it shouldn't have mattered. It should not have even mattered. I was a patient of yours in labor, needing your assistance. And if I'm saying something, you should be able to hear me and treat me accordingly. And I'm seeing this now just in my patients. What I can do is I see where the conversations need to be different. And so I know that there are times where when I get a patient from, in the practice that I do part-time work in, if they haven't fully understood, or they'll say, well, I just didn't understand the way that, my situation was explained. And I know that I have to use different verbiage for them, or just different work, give them a different type of story, help them to see it a different way. And so that's the way I feel that I'm able to work, is that I take the time, I slow down, and I'm trying to see where I can connect with them, what it is that I can actually, how can we connect on a human level, so that then we're able to do this partnership, because that's really what it is. We need to connect as human beings. That's what I hear you saying, is that we're not treating each other as human beings. And I feel like this principle, the principle of emoja, is that one of where we're building together, we're treating each other like family. Because you would hope that family connection would have a different type of interaction. And so that's where I believe the principle, how we can use that principle in the way that we treat and work with one another.
Yeah. Piggybacking on what you said, Dr. Lakeisha, the golden rule is do unto others as you wish to be done unto you. Perfect example again, just what you were saying about patient care. People I see in home care. You have COPD. You have this, you have that. The patient, I go there, they're on fluid restrictions. It's on the chart. They're guzzling they're guzzling fluid like you know what. So I just go, wait a minute, let's stop right here. I go, hey, and I start, what diagnosis were you in the hospital for? I don't know, they got COPD. A lot of patients think COPD is the word. They actually think COPD is the name of a disease. Like they don't even know it's abbreviated. So I go, you got COPD? Or some of them said cupped. I'm like, what is cupped? And I had to read the chart. And I said, you got COPD. I said, what does that mean? And they're like, huh? So gotta dial it back. So I start from the ground up. Ma'am, you have COPD. This is what it means. Oh, and this is what you shouldn't be doing. And they go, Lord Jesus, I've been drinking. Yeah, yeah. So we really have to, again, it goes back to the disparity, the healthcare disparity. You have somebody who has COPD, you just discharge them without sitting them down to let them understand what it's all about. Somebody's hypertensive, they're taking 7 different hypertensive medicines, and they're wondering why their right arm is limp, or they're wondering why they stood up and they fell down. Nobody sat down, and nobody sat down to say, you can't do, I shouldn't be doing that. That is outside of my realm, but I have to. So I'm calling my friends who are doctors, who are nurses to say, yo, I don't have to call a girlfriend of mine who has a pharmacy. She's a pharmacist. And I'm like, listen, yo, what do we do here? And she's the one who had to go through the Victoria, don't let her take this, don't let her take this, don't let her take this. But you had nurses who went in there. Did the nurse check it? Mm-mm. So this healthcare disparity thing is crazy, and that's why, yes, if we treat each other the way we want to be treated, all of this healthcare disparity thing will be a thing of the past. I have an 87-year-old mother. She's in the Gambia. I don't have a problem because I know the people who are taking care of her are taking care of her the way I would treat somebody else's mother. So I'm not worried. So yeah, so I mean this healthcare disparity thing, this whole because I'm black, I have to be on the short end of the stick has to end. And this is the reason why I am in the hood, like they say. I'm in those zip codes that nobody wants to go because I believe those people deserve to be treated the way that I would want to be treated or the way I would want to treat somebody else in the exclusive zip codes. That's my spiel. Don't let me get off here on the tangent. Let me stop.
Beautiful. So we have some comments here. When the dominant culture feels threatened, they take action. When that same group observes threats and pain inflicted on those outside of their respective bubbles, they speak empathy. But yeah, really. So here from Closing of Provident Hospital, started by Daniel Hell Williams in Chicago. Yes, one of our preeminent African-American doctors. All right, audience, I want you to look him up. That's your homework today. I want you to look up some of the very famous names in terms of African-American healthcare, which is really about healthcare for everyone. Everybody needs healthcare. But some of the discoveries that help to forward modern medicine actually can be attributed to people who look like Victoria, Dr. Lakeisha, and I, but a lot of people don't realize that. Look up Dr. Daniel Hale Williams. So Kenneth he's given us some history today. 50 years on the south sides of Chicago, now 62 years old. So since he was 12, yes, Linda Parker Edwards, it is shameful. Linda's parents in education and in healthcare in this community of Red Bank where I am now, so grateful to what the Parker family has contributed, not only here locally, but nationally to healthcare. Patricia Brennan, very wise words from all three of us. Kenneth is saying, home of Minister Farrakhan, Reverend Jesse. Yeah, we said yes. I saw when I was in the south side of Chicago last, I saw Reverend Jesse. He came into the restaurant to eat lunch where I was having lunch. I was just so thrilled about that. Launching grounds of President Barack Obama. Absolutely. So we welcome Haj to the show this morning. So, we have, so many people. Clifton, we have a lot of new viewers this morning. Yes, here, a doctoral class of 2021 and NAPRA, or you mean naturopathy medicine here. So my mother would go to all doctor visits with her Black friend because the difference of her white face made the difference with that friend's care. And yes, I know that to be true. I know Rebecca's mother, Libby. And yes, she would show up and suddenly it'd be a different story. A different story.
Dr. Carol, speaking of to that point that Rebecca brought up, even my mother in Alabama, when I go, I sit there for a minute before I let them know that I'm in healthcare, just to, see what they're doing, how they're responding, how they're treating her. And then as I start having the conversations and using the terminology, they kind of go, huh. And then I'll say, well, I'm a physician, but I don't live here. I live in Maryland. And the entire atmosphere changes. And that should not be. That should not be. So then we have the whole thing of also then we have ageism. So we have to talk about that because as people get older too, we tend to dismiss them, when it comes to their care and they're older. No. They still have a lot of life to live. And my mother was a professor at a college and running a whole department, writing Title III, grants. And, so you're not dealing with, just, somebody that does not understand and can't comprehend. And so it goes both ways. Rebecca, that was amazing what your mother did and was able to be able to see that in that real time and say, you know what, I need to show up for my friend. That is a part of this, collective of the community helping each other, being allies and being able to help and shift and change the conversations.
Absolutely. And so we have here, yes, Patricia, I experienced it as a low-income person. Hard to find doctors who want to treat us too. Absolutely. Absolutely. It is, unfortunately, the healthcare industry, the corporate structure, both fortunate and unfortunate, the pandemic has shown that the emperor has no clothes. It is a very unequal system of who gets what, and it's very tiered. You get treated according to not what your doctor may know is best for you, but according to the type of healthcare insurance that you have. And it's one of the great American tragedies. So DM, so glad she did, but so sorry that was needed. Talking about Libby's mom. And yeah, so Rebecca, Dr. Lakeisha, exactly right. So, so many truths that we are, talking about. We're going to be talking about this all this week. So Meditation in a Time of Madness will be back with us tomorrow morning. And this week, yes, we have another holiday this week. But Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we will be on at 7. And we're just going to go through the rest of these Kwanzaa principles. We're going to take them into meditation. So this is how you can really begin to, to embody these principles. I think the conversation that started here today is extremely important. So here, this is an example. Insurance deductible went from $5,500 last year to $6,500 this year. That's a whole lot of money that you have to put out, before your insurance kicks in. So yes, Linda, hashtag Meditation Nation. Yes, Kenneth, Veterans Healthcare at Risk. I just finished doing a huge week-long program with Vision 8. That's the Veterans Administration in the state of Florida, one of the largest, if not the largest, in the United States. So these are, again, important ideas. But we actually, the hour is up already, ladies. it flies.
We could keep talking. We could keep going.
Yes, yes.
Because when Rebecca put up that deductible, oh my gosh, that was a trigger for myself because the whole thing, our family deductible went up too. And I was like, well, why do we have insurance? You feel that way. You feel that way. So yes, we could continue for another hour or so. So let me be quiet.
Yeah, so look. So Linda's saying we need to do this again. So Linda, I'm going to be doing a version of this all this week, talking about these principles and how we need to revisit and start to integrate them into what we're doing. Patricia's saying disgraceful how we treat. Yes, it is disgraceful. Whoops, Lord, losing my hearing pace. Yes, yes, yes. So she's saying excellent. Great show and grand view. So here we go. So I just want to, Dr. Lakeisha and I, 2 more opportunities. We got some holiday bundles going. So let me see, Dr. Lakeisha. Where is it? Dr. Lakeisha, tell us a little bit about your balanced beauty experience.
So I created a bundle to help my ladies with making sure that they could get through the stress of ending the year. So there's a nice little bundle box that you'll receive in the mail, along with some digital content that one of them is the videos to the telesummit that even Dr. Carol was a part of back in October. So that is the bonus, that the telesummit was audio. You are all getting the videos. You're going to see the behind the scenes of those conversations, and the bundle in it has some great things in it for you to be able to help to make sure that you are ready to finish out the year and round the corner with an adrenal support supplementation, some relax and recharge tea, and my book, the other PMS, your survival for perimenopause and menopause.
Excellent. And then I have a holiday bundle. It's really an invitation to join my year-long course. So it is Mindset Mastery for the Citizen Leader, whether you are in or out of work, whatever you're doing, because that's what we need right now. We need citizen leaders. We're going to meet once a month. We're going to have long, extended conversations like this. I'm going to teach you the 12 tools you must have to keep yourself together in mind, body, and spirit. And you'll also, of course, get my book, Meditation in a Time of Madness, and my new journal. It's a 90-day. I cannot wait for people to get this hands on the journal. And there's really excellent research about what journaling does in the body and in the brain, the neurobiology of it, the physiology of it. Look up Penny Baker and the research about journaling. So, always, wanting to give people opportunities to live their best lives. And what we're going to need to go forward to really step up and to change what we need to change is a strong citizen leader. Everybody from every sector across. So come on in, let's get in. It's monthly, and you're just going to learn how to live your best life, period, end of story. So we are going to get out of here. Don't forget, Weightless and Mind, Body, and Spirit is also a podcast. You can listen, invite friends and family to hear this show. This show is extremely important in terms of the conversation and the ideas that the 3 of us are putting forward. So that's Weightless and Mind, Body, and Spirit. Of course, you're going to share this so people can see the 3 of us live on Facebook as they're waking up on this Sunday. You can listen to it as a podcast wherever you get your podcast, or you can just go over to anchor.fm if you want to just register through there. It's free. Enjoy that and share. And what else? And I'll be back with you during the week. Next Sunday, tune in, because we're going to talk about arts medicine. And we have some very, very special guests. We're going to have live music next Sunday, and we're going to talk about arts medicine and arts in medicine. And hubby will be back next week. He's one of the special guests for next week. So here we go. We're going to sign off here. Patricia, many blessings to everyone for Healthy, happy, safe 2021. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. Terrific info. Stay safe in 2021. The guests were very inspirational. Yes, of course, these women are beautiful, talented, and inspirational. Yes. Citizens, lead thyself with Kuji Jakulia. Absolutely. Our self-determination. Yes. Arts and medicine. Love it. Yes, yes, yes. Look at this. One of your best shows. Thank you, Carol, Lakeisha, and Victoria. Oh my goodness. You never know. You never know. You really don't. And I appreciate these ladies for sharing their holiday weekend with me, for helping me celebrate my birthday. And we're going to keep this celebration going. All right. We're going to sign off, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.